This is the Four-Man Rush. Hello, Panther fans, and welcome to another podcast of the Four-Man Rush. I'm your host, Timmy V.O., here with Kevin and Will, and we're here on the end of a 4-game winning streak, baby. Dig that. Dig that. Get the shovel, go outside, get your hands dirty, and dig that. Panther Nation, I think we got a quarterback. Panther Nation, we got a defensive line, defensive front, and a defensive scheme that is pretty much unmatched in the NFC South for sure. The Saints got a good defense. I've seen them. Their run defense is stout. But by God, we can get out to the quarterback and get on the run game. What's up? I'm loving it. So, we're here to talk to you, obviously, about what happened in old Jolly London. And we're going to talk about some details, X's and O's in that matter. And we're going to preview, since we're coming up on the bye week, we're going to preview, review, weeks 1 through, what we're coming on, week 6? We're coming up on week 7, actually. So we're going to preview the schedule up to this point. Talk about the rookies and talk about the defense and offense and who's progressing and who's digressing, and we'll just get into all that good stuff. And we'll talk in detail about Kyle Allen. We don't know, we haven't physically seen Cam Newton on the field, moving around, throwing the football. So all we can do is basically speculate about what's going to happen with Cam, other than we know he's going to be practicing with us very soon. But we have a lot on Kyle, and we'll talk about that, and we'll dig into our own feelings about the situation. But Kyle Allen, folks, say what you want, that kid can play. That kid can play. All right, so first and foremost, we'll jump into that Tampa Bay game. First play of the game. That Bradbury, that bald boy. Get him, B. All right, so we'll start out with Kevin, and then we'll jump him in the wheel. And we'll start with the defensive side of the ball, because that was all over the place in old Jolly London. Yeah, buddy. So, Kevin, your take on the defensive side of the ball, man. I mean, we saw a lot of good things. So, give us your take, please, sir.
Yeah, on the defense side of the ball, I mean, as you just mentioned, from play one, we got the party started off just right. Tampa Bay got the ball first.
Mm-hmm.
They came lined up, 2 tight end set.
Mm-hmm.
Jameis Winston had that look in his face, so I knew he was going to have one of them days. And straight to cue, James Bradbury intercepted Jameis Winston's first pass of the day. And that led to a defensive juggernaut that steadily built throughout the game and did not end until the final whistle blew in the fourth quarter. If you love defense, this was a clinic, Carolina Panther style, that you'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere else in recent Panther memory. We're talking about 7 sacks, 7 turnovers. I mean, you really cannot ask for a better defensive performance as far as getting to the quarterback and taking the ball away from the quarterback. Yeah, you'll look at the stat line and see, Jameis Winston still threw for 400 yards. Yeah, but in 2019, yards, giving up a lot of yards doesn't have the significance that it once did as far as, determining the outcome of the game. Because a lot of that was in the fourth quarter. They're trying to go back. They're throwing chunks. I mean, I'm not taking nothing away from them. They got 2 stud wide receivers in Mike Evans and what's the kid's name?
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin.
Yeah, Chris Godwin. Yeah, thanks, Will. But yeah, I mean, both of them, if I'm not mistaken, I think both of them had 100 yards, if I'm not mistaken, receiving. So
I know Godwin did.
But at the end of the day, in the trenches, at the line of scrimmage, we let Tampa know who daddy was. I said in the last episode that this game was going to be personal. And for me, the defense emphasized exactly that. We was on Jameis Winston's ass from from first play to the last, and I enjoyed every bit of it. From, my man, Vernon Butler Jr., I'm going to have to pat my own self on the back, sticking with my boy. He's getting reps. I mean, he had a case of the deuces, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he had 2 sacks. He had 2 tackles for losses. He had 2 forced fumbles. And he had 2 other tackles. So, he was all about chucking up the deuces on the field on Sunday. And I like that. Big shout out to him. I mean, also, Gerald McCoy, he had to get back at him because he allowed himself to get suckered by an offensive lineman to draw a penalty that cost us that first game. And, well, he just decided to take it out on them this game with 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for losses, 2 quarterback hits. He even batted down a pass and also had 4 other tackles as well. So, just utter dominance from our defense on all levels, from defensive line to secondary. Linebackers kind of had what you call a pedestrian day. I think Luke only had 6 tackles and Shaq Thompson only had 4 tackles, but overall they made plays when needed in other aspects. So, yeah, defense set the tone from the opening whistle, and it led to us having an epic day in jolly old London.
Yeah, buddy. Man, you talking about a juggernaut, man. It's man, good Lord have mercy. That was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, and the Panthers defense got me 28 points in fantasy, too. So, shout out.
I think the word is out. Will, what was your take on the defense, man? Good Lord of mercy.
Man, you're really starting to see the impact of Ron Rivera taking over and calling the plays. Back in San Diego, they were the San Diego Chargers. Back then, he was one of the most, top defensive minds in the NFL. That's why he was one of the hottest head coaching candidates when the Panthers hired him in 2011. So now that he's got complete control over the defense and calling the plays, just felt that he put on his own defensive clinic against Jameis Winston yesterday. Jameis is a guy, he does well against the blitz. I think he even had a perfect passer rating. But against, when you don't blitz him and make him think, play those zone coverages, force him to fit the ball in the tight windows, that's when he starts making mistakes. And I think that's how you have to defend Tampa Bay's offense. They're the 4th in the league in scoring offense. So the way to beat them is, force turnovers, get after the quarterback, get them flustered, and make plays the way the Panthers were able to do. There's a couple of things that stood out, just mixing up the coverages. He was 4 for 14 with 4 interceptions when he was forced to throw the ball in the tight window. So that just shows you how the mixing up those zone defenses and forcing them to fit the ball and make decisions and think, just had them confused and flustered for most of the day. On the Panthers also, I like how he mixes up blitz packages. He doesn't blitz often. I think the Panthers rank towards the bottom in terms of the number of times they blitz. But when they do blitz, they're one of the most efficient teams. Their blitz success rate, I think I saw today on ESPN, was like top 5. So just the way Ron's able to mix up blitz schemes, mix up coverages, and do all these things, it's just, good, fun to watch. And last year, I think it was just more of we didn't have the pass rush to really complement that zone defense on the back end. Because what's his zone defense without a pass rush? But you see the rotation he put together. It's good to have Bruce Irvin healthy. I thought he had one of his best games as a Panther yesterday, showing good, hand technique, getting guys off of him, getting after it. Gerald McCoy, he's probably the most consistent guy we got on the defensive line, Vernon Butler. And I think on our preseason podcast, I said it. There's times where Butler looks like the best player on the football field, but then he just disappears for long stretches. So I think if Vernon Butler can continue to play at this level, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because think about it. You look at his size. Gerald McCoy just talked about how massive he was, and he's a big guy. And, this is Gerald McCoy talking. He's not a small guy himself, but you combine Butler's size and then his feet. He's got the feet of a KK or a Gerald McCoy. He just got the good skill set that could be able to translate and be a dominant defensive tackle. So overall, I'm pleased with what I saw from the defense. I think the only thing I'd like to see get better, I thought there were some coverage breakdowns. Mike Evans got loose behind Bradbury one time, things like that. And that seems like it's happening a little too often now. I think we got caught a couple of breaks with receivers getting loose in the secondary and the teams not being able to connect on those deep balls. So let's straighten up some of those coverage schemes and get ready for the 49ers after this bye week.
Now, as far as the offensive side of the ball goes, well, let's just talk about that. Let's just talk about that. I dig some Kyle Allen. I'm just going to put that out there. But let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. Kevin, if you don't mind, give us your input on the trenches, because there's a gentleman on that left side, buddy, that held it down in London.
Yeah, that gentleman you will be speaking of would be our 6th round pick out of the University of South Carolina. His name is Dennis Daly. But the way he's performing, we're going to have to come up with some sort of little nickname for him. I don't know if Double D's or whatever, D square, whatever you want to call him. But
something.
He was rated, according to Pro Football Focus, the highest rated left tackle in the NFL.
Whoa. Say that again.
According to Pro Football Focus,
right.
Dennis Daly of the Carolina Panthers, making his 2nd career start, was graded by them as their highest graded left tackle. Out of all left tackles that played Sunday, he was graded the highest one. I think they had him at a 87.3 or something like that. So you're talking about someone that pretty much put on a clinic, and something that fans didn't catch, but I caught on Twitter. He was interviewed by, I believe, Panthers beat writer Bill Voth, and was asked about his performance. And he said he felt like he could have did a lot better. See, that's what I like. I like someone that, even though they had a pretty damn good game to us, they thinking about the plays that they didn't make and how they can make it better. That type of attitude is going to take this young man very far in this league. I think that with the doubt that was, by some fans, even Panther fans, about selecting him after we had already drafted Greg Little, it just shows that that's why we're on the couch. These couch GMs, these Madden franchise GMs, that's why we do our selections where we do, because, I trust our scouting department as one of the top ones. And when we're able to get the players that we want and get the coaches to work them up, I mean, my God, you get results. I call that Max Go magic, But yeah, overall, in spite of 2 sacks that was on Kyle Allen, it was really coverage sacks. That means that after 5 seconds, he couldn't find nobody open, and the defense eventually got to him. There's no offensive line that's going to be able to maintain blocks for that long of a period of time on a consistent basis. So it wasn't that the fact that protection broke down. It was just pretty much ran out of time. Just for whatever reason, we couldn't get open on those 2 sack plays. So it's more so coverage sacks than just a blocking scheme breakdown. But overall, as far as the rest of the trenches goes, not a good day in the run game, but Tampa had the number 2 defense. I mean, they sold out. Let's just call it for what it is. And when I mean sold out, they put 8 and 9 players in the box a vast majority of the time. And with the Panthers, we putting 6 and 7 blockers up there, somebody was going to get free. Now, if you know how to effectively work certain schemes, you can handle a loaded box, but we just didn't have it in London. But their plan was to make Kyle Allen beat us, and damn it, that's what he did. So passing game, pass blocking gets a B+ from me. Run blocking, D-. But the main letter that I'm happy about is the W that was flown back to Charlotte via Virgin Airlines, I believe, was the ones that took our boys over there and back. I think that's what Rivera said. So, yeah, I mean, as long as we came back across the pond with that W, that's all that matters. Like Will say, I don't care how it gets done. I just want that win. So we did enough to get the win. We got the bye week. We can get our minds right and look forward to starting to make that quote unquote playoff push.
Love it, man. Yeah, this O-line gelling. Oh boy, we got some young legs out there on the left side too, man. Lord have mercy. Oh man, the communication up front is showing, folks. Is showing. Hey, Will, give us your take on the offense, man.
Yeah, overall, it was an efficient game. I mean, you can always find areas to improve. I like that even though we couldn't get a consistent run game with CMC going this week, that, we got the ball in the hands of DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. They were able to carry a lot of the load this weekend. We had a big day from both of them. But Curtis had 2 touchdowns, right? The reverse and
the
catch.
Yeah, he had 2.
Right. And then I just think DJ Moore is quietly approaching that 1,100-yard receiving mark on pace for us. So McCaffrey is getting all the hype for the MVP, and deservedly so. I mean, he's having a monster year, but just under the radar, just keep an eye on DJ, slowly creeping up on his first 1,000-yard season as an NFL receiver. So overall, it was solid. I think although the run game wasn't productive, I think it was effective in the sense that we stuck with it. We were consistent with it. Tampa respected it, and it allowed North to open his offense and get the ball to playmakers. And we just see an offense that can attack you in so many different ways now. So if you want to just pick your poison at this point. But the real person I want to talk about is Kyle Allen.
Talk about it, bro.
And I think it's sad that national media, local media, social media, you can't just give the kid credit without comparing him to somebody, projecting what his future NFL career will be. Is he have it or not? So just feel like there's people that's just waiting for him to fail so they can say, I told you so, rather than just, supporting this kid and what he's trying to do as his NFL career. We're talking about, a high school, the number 1 high school quarterback coming out, throwing for over 8,000 yards. He just didn't get the right opportunity and land in the right spot in college. Texas A&M, both him and Kyler Murray transferred. So he transferred to Houston. The coach at Houston that recruited him ended up taking a better job in Texas. So Kyle Allen was left stuck in Houston and didn't really get to play for the coach that recruited him. So he goes undrafted, and he just co-signed by so many guys you respect. Kurt Warner knew him back in Arizona in high school and just co-signed on his talent. Then you have Jordan Palmer, who runs a quarterback school out in California, had Kyle Allen and first-round picks, Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. He said Kyle Allen was as good as every one of them, but he just didn't get the right opportunity and fall into the right situation in college. That just gives you the kind of idea. This isn't some scrub we found off the street. This is a polished kid with arm talent that just never got that opportunity in college. And due to the nature, and politics of the game, they make assumptions about you. You get that stigma. You didn't produce in college, so what can you do in this level? As far as the game, I thought this was his best game as a Panther so far. Not in a sense of statistics, but just the poise he shows, the pocket presence, the awareness, the accuracy, getting the ball to his playmakers. He plays within the system. He's like an extension of Norv Turner on the field, and he's just able to find the open guy. And I think what stood out the most is just think about the 4 wins that he's had this year. 3 of them were on the road, 1 in Arizona, 1 in Houston, and going to London and to get another win. So these are road trips far from home. He's able to keep his composure, stay poised, go to these hostile environments and win games for his team. So I just think he deserves credit on his own. He's his own man, his own quarterback, and he's helped contribute to these 4 wins. So, just give the kid credit. You don't have to feel guilty or ashamed. You're not turning your back on Cam Newton by just saying, good job, Kyle. We took a 0-2 team, revived them, went on a 4-game winning streak, and we're in a good situation going into the bye week.
You can't ask for anything better, man. I think at the beginning of the season, I think we projected going into the bye week, we'd be somewhere around 4-2. So I mean, we're right on schedule for what we thought would happen. And even looking at those 2 losses, whether you're gonna put it on Cam Newton or not, folks, we still could have won those football games. So it speaks volumes about what we got around Kyle, and seeing Kyle in action speaks volumes about what we can do going forward. I think we're really, really, really lucky to have Kyle on this team. And it's amazing that, we almost didn't have Kyle. If Heineke would have worked out, Who knows what this season would have been like if he didn't get hurt last year and he, finished out the season instead of Kyle coming in. So, wow. 4-2, going into the bye week, going to San Francisco, and we'll talk about that, obviously, sometime. But right now, we're going to enjoy what we've seen so far. And in London, we saw some good stuff. We saw some great stuff, too. And, looking at the interviews at the end of the game, especially with F.A., big shout out to F.A., man. That kid's heart was in it, man. And did you guys get to catch that film of him exiting the stadium and that place went nuts?
Yeah, I saw it.
Man.
Yeah, I did too. That was a sight to see.
That was,
and yeah, and you know what? That may have been quote unquote the Bucks quote unquote home game because they was the home team in this because they gave up a home game. But shout out to anyone that's a member of the Roaring Riot, to anyone that's listening that went. That felt like Bank of America due east. That I mean, from watching the game, I mean, I kept constantly hearing keep pounding and lose.
Yeah, lose.
Steadily throughout the game, man. I'm like, hold up, am I hearing this? I'm like, man, turn up the surround sound a little bit. Let me make sure I'm hearing this right. And it shows the road go by the church, man. It was keep pounding chants and every time Luke Kuechly made a play. So yeah, man. So it was a road game, but it was home for us.
It sure was, man. It sure. Rich Eisen was commentating the game, and he had to keep explaining to folks that they're not booing because that's how loud it was. And they're not booing, folks. No, that's Luke for Luke Kuechly. Yeah, Roaring Riot, flexing out there, man. I think that there's a German chapter of the Roaring Riot that was out there for that game too, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to them.
Yeah, it was Germany. It was, of course, the one in England.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I think they got one in France. It was about 4 or 5 Roaring Riots of different European nations that were in attendance based on what I read. So,
beautiful.
This Panther Nation is more than just the Carolinas. It's more than just the dirty South and just the U.S. I mean, Panthers love is international, So we got to brace. We got to, shout them out, man, because, hey, we all family, once them boys step on the field.
Ain't that the truth? Heck yeah, man. So hey, that was a beautiful thing, man. To have that for FA and the Roaring Riot and everybody, man. Yeah, it did feel like a home game. It did. I think Trey Boston said he thought they were the London Panthers at one moment. So
yeah, slow down there before Roger Goodell starts putting us there every year, like they do the London Jaguars, quote unquote.
For real, I think Jags have been there the most, right? And they go to London every other year. It seems like.
Yeah, they go every year.
Jesus.
I think they play down there in 2 weeks.
Lord have mercy.
Isn't their owner? Isn't he from there? What's his name? Shaw.
Yeah, he's trying to make London like the second adopted home of the Jaguars. So he's just trying to build that fan base out there. But I really like though they pre-game they surprised F.A. went behind his back and made him honorary captain for the game. So that was another good thing I thought they did.
That was beautiful, man. Nobody saw that coming, man. That's huge. That's huge. Folks, just to give you a heads up, there's a video coming out about this game, brought to you by the 4-Man Rush. But one of the clips that I saw was F.A. giving a breakdown at the beginning of the game. And he expressed to the fellas, the D-line crew, how, he knew that they knew this was a big deal for him, but he told them to forget all that. We have a bigger goal at stake, and he needed all of them, and it's about family, and they're gonna go out there and put in work. And sure enough, oh my gosh, poor Jameis. Poor Jameis.
Hey, personally, I hope the Bucs re-sign him to a max deal. I want to see this Jameis for the next 6 years because pay the man. That's what I want to see. Yeah. So anyone that's get word to Bucks, hey, please resign Jameis by all means. You know. And speaking of the Bucks, it was just released. I was looking while you fellas was talking here. Jerry McCoy was mic'd up for the game. So after we finish this podcast, I'm gonna enjoy listening to that piece of commentary right there.
Oh, snap. Yeah, that's gonna be in the video. I'm glad you said that. Now I gotta go back and edit this bad boy. Dadgummit.
Man, when you watch that defensive line on film, it's just every play. Jameis is getting knocked off his spot. Got to step through the pocket, step, shift left, shift right, and he's looking downfield trying to find somebody open. But then on the back end, Ron's mixing up those coverages. So now Jameis thinks he's got a guy here, but no, wait a minute. He's not where I expected him to be. Now he's got this pass rush breathing down his neck. The coverage got him confused. I mean, it was just a great – Ron put on a clinic that game, man. Man, it's a joy to watch.
It is, man.
And something else I did not know. I did not know the stadium that was played in. It was built specifically to be able to handle NFL games. I mean, of course, you know, they do the soccer there as well, but it's just crazy that they only play 4 games there a year. It's called the London series, but the impact of the NFL was enough for them to put that. I thought that was a very beautiful stadium, by the way. And did y'all get a chance to see what them locker rooms look like? I was like, oh, I bet Temple was taking notes. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, this look good in the Uptown area when he built his.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that was just a thing. That was a beautiful stadium we played in, and very high tech, very just laid out, and it was just packed to the brim. I'm like, damn, like I don't even see no empty seats. Like the support was there.
I love it, man. You know, and to be honest with you, you know, for our location, that flight isn't quite as bad as it is for a lot of other NFL teams. So, who knows, man? I might head back out there next time they got a game out there. All right, so you guys want to touch on the defense or the offensive side in terms of doing a review?
We'll start with the defense.
Defense it is. Defensive line, progress or digress?
Domination. I mean, but you know, sometimes I just catch myself being a fan of just watch the 4 defensive linemen. I don't even care where the ball goes. It's like off the snap, these guys got just such. I mean, Burns, McCoy, even Poe in there eating. I mean, it's just a joy to. I mean, Christian Miller when he's healthy, Bruce Irvin when he came back. These guys just fire off the ball. You know, they're fast off the ball. They're athletic. They're like sprinters running after the quarterback. You know, the hand technique they got to get rid of offensive linemen. It's just a joy to watch. You know, the team they lead the league in sacks right now with 27. They're on pace for 72. I think Larry had predicted 70.
He did
in an earlier podcast. But man, I just think there's not really much complaining I could do about the defensive line right now. I mean, the run defense I thought was better against Tampa, if I recall. So that's a positive sign. And maybe more discipline with their pass rush lanes. Quarterbacks, you know, have a tendency to be able to move around the pocket a little too freely and find those creases and give up those, you know, quarterback scrambles. But that's, you know, it's nitpicking. These guys have been balling so far to start the year.
Kevin?
Yeah, you know, I'm right along with it. You know, as far as the defense, particularly, you know, with the line. One thing that hasn't been touched on that was a significant move with all the changes Rivera made all season was, you know, a lot of people want to say he got demoted since Ron is a play calling, but you can tell that Eric Washington has his hands on the defensive linemen again. You can really tell that by the way that they are attacking and getting off the ball and just really not too often getting caught out of place. I mean, throughout the game, yeah, you're going to have some bad plays. You're going to get blown off the ball or you're going to miss some. It happens. I mean, you're not going to be 100% every game because the other team is paid to make plays as well. But, you know, shout out to Eric Washington for, you know, getting his hands back on the defense. You can just really tell that his fingerprints is all over the success that the defensive line is having. I mean, think about it. We lost a Pro Bowl defensive tackle. And can you really tell that we missed a beat with short out? think about that now.
That's real.
You know, I mean,
that's real.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, whether it's 40 fronts, 30 fronts, hell, whatever combination is charted out there, just big shout outs, to him. And also I got to give love to, Shaq Thompson, who, for those of y'all, if y'all haven't heard by the time this podcast, here's condolences to his family.
Yeah.
Shortly after the game, he found out that his mother, who was living in California, which is where he's from, she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine to go from the joy of winning the game to hearing your mom passing. As someone who lost my father in my 20s, I can definitely relate to that, that shock and that sudden pain.
Mm-hmm.
So, condolences to the Thompson family, and may the thoughts and prayers go with them and through their time of bereavement. But yeah, shout out to Shaq Thompson so far for stepping in, because we have people that's, I'm a Thomas Davis fan, but with Shaq's play, you really can't be like, and I wish we had Thomas Davis out there. He'd have made that play. You haven't been able to say that this year with Shaq. Him and Luke Kuechly is just pretty much carrying on what Luke and TD had all them years together. And with this being his 5th year, I definitely think that he's played himself into securing the bag for himself. So, I definitely like the play of the linebacker play so far. And once Bruce Irvin got healthy, he made an impact plays. A couple games he's been back in. Brian Burns, defensive rookie of the month.
Yeah.
It's so many bullets we can put in the clip to shoot at these opposing offenses, man. I love it, And Will, if you want, you can touch on the defensive backs, because I know you follow them and you covered this a lot as far as the play of safety, nickel, and corner, man.
Yeah, with the corners, what can you say? James Bradbury and Dante were playing great football. Dante, before he got injured, for the most part, they had their ups and downs. Life of a cornerback. I hate how people judge cornerbacks. Oh, he got beat. That's a life of a corner. You shake it off, you get up, and you get back at it. When you look at their overall body of work for James Bradbury and Dante Jackson, they both played extremely well. And I think, it's consistent with what I've seen. According to Pro Football Focus, they both rank in the top 25 in terms of the highest graded corners in the league. So that just tells you the kind of season those guys are having. But Dante goes out, and now you got this guy, Ross Cockrell, coming off a broken leg, who stepped in and played extremely well for the last couple of weeks. They call him pro just because of the way he handles himself as a professional ball player, but he's out there making plays, very cerebral, smart corner. If there was a weakness, nickel, Javian Elliott actually had his first interception. So I think I'd like to see him coming along. I think he has the athleticism and skill set to be able to be effective in that role, because he had some struggles early on to start the year. There was a weakness. I just think we need more consistent safety play. And I think that was kind of our concern all off season. I thought Eric Reed, it was one play in this game. He came in with his head down. Guy made a miss and gave up a big chunk play there. And I think Trey Boston has that issue too at times. So I think we just need more consistent safety play from the defense. So other than that, though, Reed's had some good games. Trey's had some good games as well. So I've been pleased overall with the secondary, but I think the strength of the defense is still comes down to the linebacker play, Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson. I think this is the best linebacker duo in the NFL. The defensive line is arguable. There's some very good defensive lines out there in the league right now, but I think the linebackers, Luke and Shaq, are the undisputed best linebacker duo in the NFL, and I can say that with confidence and not being a homer on that one.
Period. That's real. And Kuechly is having a damn good year as well, by the way. If I'm not mistaken, him and Shaq are both in the top 5, possibly top 10 for sure in tackles so far. And another thing people don't realize, and it gives me chills to see him out there too. The communication. Oh my gosh. The safeties talking to the linebackers talking to the D-line, the corners talking to the the communication is darn near impeccable, folks. And when you're on that type of when you're dialed in like that, and you can trust your teammates to be where they're supposed to be, and you are doing your job, that is what eliminates mistakes, and that's what puts offenses in the blender. And going forward, that's not going to change. That's only going to get better. So this defense, I mean, I knew they were going to be good, just going off of what I'm reading and talking to you guys. But to sit here and watch it for myself, man, Lord, I can't remember when this defense was this good. I mean, don't get me wrong, 2015 was magical. Don't get me wrong, folks. 2015 was magical, but this defensive front was not this deep. Not with the youth and the experience mixed in together like this. It was nothing like this. This is scary. Bruce Irvin.
I was going to say that when you brought up 2015, I just thought the difference, I think, is the athleticism and speed you have coming off the edge.
Yeah.
In 2015, we had those strong edge setters, the Jared Allen and the Charles Johnson.
Charles, yeah.
So those are your big, strong edge setters, run defense. We ran that 4-2. I think we ran a 4-2-5 nickel package primarily in 15. But now we just got these fast, athletic guys that can drop into coverage, come off the edge like sprinters. So versatile. There's so many different ways, you can attack.
Yeah, and another thing is the fact that, just like Ron was saying, he wanted guys like with position flexibility. I like the fact that, with Brian, for example, Brian Burns. And by the way, it's been tripping me out. I don't know if y'all been noticing on Twitter. I see the fans of several teams that picked ahead of us. Swear to God, they wish they would have drafted Brian Burns, and I just be like,
Well.
Oh, well, yeah, sucks for you. Shout out to Martin Herney for pulling the deal on that one. I even saw my cousin who's a Jaguar fan said, man, I wish we'd have drafted Brian Burns instead of Josh Allen, man. Burns making plays, Allen, he didn't miss. So, hey, it is what it is. But, yeah, man, I mean, even guys like Marquise Haynes, it's good to see him getting reps and out there contributing. And what I like is the fact that even when the stats doesn't show, like Rivera said in the press conference today, the eye in the sky don't lie. And I just like the fact that these guys that didn't have a chance to really do much last year with this new defensive scheme right now, they're really putting in work and they're really affecting plays and they're doing things that the statistics won't give them credit for. But here at the Four-Man Rush, we damn sure gonna make it known of their impact. And I just like the fact that the guys they're not complacent with this. As fans, we're hyped. We're thinking we're seeing something magic. They keep saying, "Nah, we just scratched the surface." So I don't know if I want to be nervous or excited. We're talking about 27 sacks, 14 interceptions in 6 games.
Oh Lord.
I mean, if you want to project, so after 12 games, 54 sacks, 28 interceptions. I mean, it could be like Madden rookie level video games number with this defense. If they keep that type of mind frame and work ethic, man, I try not to get ahead of myself. I like to stay in the moment, but it's reason to be optimistic and kind of play the what if game based on what we're seeing from this Panthers defense so far. But we just try to be 1-0 each week, and we just going to add up all these 1-0s and see where it takes us.
Yeah, they had a good interview with Ron Rivera today. He talked about the guys that influenced them coming up. He said Jim Johnson from the Philadelphia Eagles back when Andy Reid was their coach, the McNabb days. So with Jim Johnson, he was known for that aggressive zone blitz style defense. And then he talked about Lovie Smith, who was with the one of the starters of that Tampa 2 defense, where you drop your linebacker. It's a cover 2 with the linebacker playing that deep center field. So he just has all these guys. He's incorporated all their schemes into one. And he's just, you just see all of these different elements of those schemes built into what Ron's trying to do here. And then how he was able to finally get the pieces and the chess pieces to be able to, attack offenses in different ways, mix up his coverages in different ways. So it's just kind of like a modern day, hybrid defense that he's created. I just think it's a piece of art what he's put together here.
Yeah, indeed, man.
Yeah, and to add on to that, he also mentioned, because I heard the interview as well, he also mentioned Buddy Ryan as someone else that he got his defensive knowledge from. And also Wade Phillips when he was at San Diego. He even mentioned that some of the things that they were successful with in the game in London, he got from the Wade Phillips playbook. Particularly, he mentioned, when they're able to go to the 30 fronts. He liked the fact that he was able to use a lot of 3-4 base personnel this game, which I saw primarily when we were in base. It wasn't a 4-3, folks. It was the 3-4, and I like that. This is that hybrid mix that's going to allow us, I feel like, to stay in the game. And understand that everybody's the phases may have down days or not at their best, but my God, it's just hard to imagine this defense having too many bad days. It's just really not, because it's just so many. We're not just dependent on 3 or 4 players to carry the success. I mean, there's literally 9-10 players when you think about all 3 levels that can make huge impacts in different positions. And I just think that Rivera, drawing from all those different people, like Will stated, Lovie Smith, Jim Johnson, and Buddy Ryan and Wade Phillips. I mean, you're talking about 4 of the greatest defensive minds this game has ever seen. And Rivera's having fun playing chess now. I'm glad that he put down the checkers and picked up the chess this year.
Easier to play chess when you have the pieces to play chess with, man. He absolutely does have a lot more to work with, without a doubt. And him and Coach Washington working together is very, very important. Very important.
Right. And before we move to the offense, I can't let us talk about the defense without giving Perry Fuel a shout out for what he was able to do with the secondary. You just see so much better technique from the corners this year. He has a role in the coverages, how they, you can really see the impact he's had on that defense as well.
That is important. It is important.
Yeah, Bradbury done learned to turn his head around for you, Will. So, hey.
and them ball skills. And them ball skills done improved. Boy, you catch it. Hey, don't throw the ball over there. Do not. Don't do it. Billy.
Nah, I want you to. Please, by all means. Nah, come on with it. Come on, Cletus. Come on.
Shoot,
come on.
Matter of fact, if you don't throw it over there, go ahead and throw it to Cockrell. Go ahead. Play games. Go ahead and play games. You want to snatch that too. I mean, dude, this secondary is real. I mean, it's real. I'm loving this. Loving it.
I know one thing. I appreciate Dante Jackson showing us his vertical leap in Arizona, but if that's gonna cause you to miss this many games, bro, just back the ball down, bro. Look, we can move the ball on offense. Let them punt, man.
Yeah.
It was a great highlight, but if it's gonna have your groin messed up for the next 3 weeks after that, man, hey, just do like Luke Kuechly did. Just back the ball down. Just hey, let's just go home.
I'm done. That was funny. Why didn't you catch the ball, Luke? Man, I just want to go home. Man. I'm done. I'm done with this. That was funny. Luke is so humble, man. He's a cool dude, man. I like to sit down and have a beer with Luke. He's funny. He's a funny guy. So, and of course, Reed and Trey. Again, they're the back end on that defense, man. But they're keeping it all together, man. It's from top to bottom. This, Jesus Christ, this could potentially be the best defense the Carolina Panthers have ever had, top to bottom. I know we've had now. 2003 was a special year. I mean, that was a really good defense. That front, oh my gosh! I mean, that was, you got a couple of Hall of Famers on that front, but this is unique. This is really with Burns and Irvin and Mario ain't getting this respect, but Mario is balling out there, folks. He might not be getting sacks like that. Well, excuse me, hold on. Let me retract that, because he was in the top 5 in the league in sacks going into this past game. So, but Mario does a lot of other things, especially with those stunts that get people to the quarterback a little more cleanly, I guess you could say, than having to go against double teams, things of that nature. If you looked at if you looked at the offensive line from the Tampa game for the Tampa Bay Bucks, they were scheming when Burns was on that field. They were scheming, trying to find out where Burns was, just to make sure they got enough protection over there. And it was amazing.
Yeah, what Ron likes to do, he'll put three, like on third down pass rush situations especially, he'll put like a Burns and Haynes on the edge, and he'll move Mario as like a stand-up free technique so he can have a one-on-one pass rush situation against an offensive guard. And that's proven to be very effective so far. That play that Burns returned a 60-yard fumble return for a touchdown against Jacksonville, that was one of those situations where Mario Addison lined up as that stand-up free technique, just bull rushed Andrew Norwell right into Minshew mania, and Burns was able to pick up the fumble and return it 60 yards the other way. So just the different combinations that he's been able to use has helped make this pass rush so effective.
It's beautiful. Yeah. The coordinators can't key on one player because he uses so many different formations in terms of personnel. It's hard to key on one guy. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah, and one last shout out to Eric Washington. Rivera also said today that, he makes the calls, but Eric Washington designs a lot of these defensive, different play designs and stunts and things like that. So, a lot of people wanted to piss on Eric Washington, when we had the skid last year and the defense wasn't, putting up the gaudy numbers. But, shout out to Rivera from, not listening to the noise and knowing the man that he's had along on the whole time. Because, when you talk about the success of the Panthers defense, Rivera's calling plays, but, you got to give just as much, credit to Eric Washington for doing a lot of the engineer work behind the scenes. Rivera's kind of like the architect with the play calling, but it's Washington who's been the engineer who's making these play calls work with the different designs that he put together. So I just thought fans should know that, when you give Rivera love for the defense, make sure you slide some of that love on over to Eric Washington as well, because he's definitely a vital piece to this defensive success that we're enjoying.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, the architect and the engineer. One can't exist without the other. That's a great way to put it, man. All right, so offensive side of the ball. Well, 3 letters. CMC. Or you can put it as MVP, however you want to do it. Because that dude is acting a fool. But it wouldn't happen without the offensive line. Matt Sko, folks. That's the name you need to think about right there. Y'all want to speak about that?
Yeah, allow me. John Masco, one of the most revered offensive line coaches in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. He's been mastering the offensive line for over 30 years. He's got a couple of first ballot Hall of Famers on his resume that he has helped coached up. The one that Will just mentioned, for example, Andrew Norwell was an undrafted free agent out of Ohio State, and he managed to turn him to one of the biggest free agent acquisitions a couple of years ago. So, much success got to go to John Masco for the offensive line. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of work to be done. Even with the success that Chris McCaffrey is having, a lot of it is off of his sheer ability. Now, there are moments when the offensive line is clicking and they're gelling that they make it a lot easier for him. But, as we watch the film and break it down and see what's going on, is definitely some room for improvement. But I feel like we had a caliber of players that once we get it to click and get the right players in, we may see better version of CMC than we're already seeing now. I like the fact that with Matt Paradis that he's getting himself back into playing shape, recovering from a broken leg. I love the fact that Darrell Williams is no longer playing left tackle. As our own Norris Thornwell would say, Darrell Liability Williams. That's the term he came up with him, because he's definitely by far the weakest link on the field, whether he's at left tackle or right guard. He's someone that's just when when Trey Turner comes back and the way Daly is playing and how Little's playing for his concussions, folks, don't be surprised if Darrell Williams is not sitting on the bench. I mean, we're just keeping it real.
Sorry, Darrell.
As they say. But overall, though, we're making it work with what we got, and if we're having this type of success, and we still see the mess that we got to clean up, it can only get better from here. So I definitely look forward to the offensive line improving. Unsung hero Greg Van Roten, this season and last season has played every single snap at left guard. Could we get a talent upgrade there? Yeah, there's other talented players out there, but we're talking about a guy that's grown into to have some nasty in him. He's a smart player. I've seen him on several plays where he start off helping Paradis and then flip on over to help out the left tackle as well. I've even seen him on a pull block on a play action, go all the way across the formation to pick up a blitzing either linebacker or a safety. So he's a guy that's definitely got ability to impact the game. And I know Pro Football Focus doesn't think highly of him. And, he does have his moments where he has some struggles. Like I said, nobody's going to play 100% on their snaps. But overall, he's someone that I feel like is an asset. He could play his way into a free agency contract with somebody else. Personally, I hope we keep him. But, hey, we'll worry about that down the road. But as of now, Greg Van Roten is definitely probably the unsung hero of the offensive line. With Trey Turner been out the last few games, but before he was out, he was Pro Bowl Turner that we've all known to expect. And I definitely hope that after this bye week, the ankle issue that he has, and it was never stated what type of ankle injury. Was it a high ankle sprain or what? It's just always been an ankle injury. I'm hoping that he's going to be 100% ready to go. Taylor Moton seems to kind of figured it out. He was up and down a lot the first few games, but it seems like the last few games he done settled down. And if I'm not mistaken, the Panthers' offensive line is either the second or third least penalized offensive line in the league. So, shout out for the discipline that our offensive line is showing.
Yeah, that's lovely, man. Cutting down on those mistakes are critical, man. We cannot have mistakes. Will, your take on the offense so far. You talk about CMC if you want to, however you want to do it, bro.
I mean, CMC, we talked about him a lot before. I mean, he's an MVP candidate, done his thing. I like to see how the offense runs through him now. Yeah. And I think I'm speculating, if Cam is able to recover, have a successful surgery, and play for the team again this year, I just think having the offense run through CMC will take a lot less pressure off of him. So it'll be beneficial. But we'll address that down the road at a later time. But I think the offense, to put it in a nice way, I still think it's a work in process. Early in the season, they were the weak link. The turnovers in the red zone cost us the Rams game. Poor play calling down in the red zone cost us the Bucs game. The Texans game, we had 3 turnovers again. It was a 16-10 win, but we're killing ourselves week after week. Jacksonville again, the fumble. I think we had a fumble in that game. But I think the good news is we're trending in the right direction. I thought we finally saw some good things against Tampa Bay, but still struggling to establish that consistency. But I think that's what's going to come with Kyle Allen continuing to get more comfortable in the system, slowing the game down for him and being able to be, more consistent and make plays, outside and get the ball to playmakers outside of Christian McCaffrey. So I just think, I like seeing how we have other guys be able to step up the last couple of weeks. And I just think we haven't even really touched the tip of the iceberg yet. It's an offense that has a lot of potential, but I think it's also come along a little bit slower than the defense, if that makes sense, as we started the season. So I just think we just got to stop shooting ourselves. I think the toughest opponent on our schedule is ourselves. What I mean by that is both losses were self-inflicted mistakes, red zone turnovers, missed throws, missed blocks.
Missed field goals.
So I just think execution issues, still linger. We had some drop balls. I mean, Jarius Wright dropped a beautiful dime from Kyle Allen in between that cover 2 that Tampa was running. So I just want to see the offense continue to evolve and just develop better, consistent execution. So the outlook for the offense to me isn't as positive as the defense. That's just been, outstanding for the first part of the year. I think this is the unit that needs more work, coming along a little bit slower, but I'm starting to see some good things and we're trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trending in the right direction is exactly where we're going. 4-game winning streak, putting up points on people. But like you said, man, if we can fine tune this offense and where they're clicking, on the same, almost on the same level as this defense is, oh my gosh, man, oh my gosh, I don't see anybody in the NFL that could. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being a homer here, folks. I'm just thinking about matchup, running back, O-line, defense. There's not too many teams in this league that I'm like, okay, there's no way in the world we can beat them. Any given Sunday, now this is the NFL, sure, that's the theme, but any given Sunday, you put this football team up against offensively and defensively, we can play with anybody. That's a fact. We've shown that we can get it done. If they put 8-9 in the box, we've shown we can get it done. Norva's going to do what's right, and Kyle's going to execute. All right. If you want to try to take away the passing game, Christian McCaffrey's going to make you pay. Right. He could put up a buck plus. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. We give Kyle Allen a pocket, he'll rip you apart, folks. I mean, that's just how it is, right? And I don't see any offensive line keeping our defense off of their quarterback. That ball's got to get out real fast. And this year, I have to say, this defense has tackled better than the previous couple of years, effectively across the board. These guys tackle for the most part. Now, of course, as you guys mentioned, we've had some lackluster plays on when it comes to tackling, the running back especially. But I'm not scared of anybody. You go run tell Tom Brady that. Run tell Mahomes that. Run tell him. Ain't nobody in NFL has me on like, oh shit. I don't know if we can handle them dudes. This team is for real, folks.
In the words of the late great Bernie Mac, I ain't scared of you.
One thing I can't let go is the third unit that Chase Blackburn has done for the special teams unit. I think he a guy that just doesn't get enough credit for what he's been able to do. So
well said.
Before we go, I think we definitely got to give him in the special teams unit a shout out. The block punts, the plays Ray had that slip up, but he had to let him go. It shows that there's no tolerance for those turnovers, man. You got to take care of the football.
Yes.
So in the next couple of weeks, we'll see if we sign a new punt returner.
Yeah, peace and blessings, Mr. 14. Sorry about that, bro. But I know, Kevin, you mentioned in the write-up, I think it was on the Facebook page, about the kid, was Godwin, is that his name?
Yeah, Terry Godwin. Will had confirmed for me earlier this morning that he was on Jacksonville's practice squad. And I was thinking, okay, we made 2 roster moves today. We released Ray McLeod off the 53-man roster, but we also released somebody from the practice squad. So there's some moves in the potential making. Now, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm definitely a fan of Terry Godwin. I didn't see anything in the preseason or in training camp why he didn't earn a spot to be on this team. That was of all the roster moves that was made to get the final 53. Not keeping him was definitely my biggest shocker. So, call it a little bit of favoritism, bias, homer, whatever. But I definitely would love if we could add Terry Godwin back to the 53-man roster, not only as a returner, but someone that showed very solid hands as a receiver as well. And with Hogan out, I know we run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets and things like that, but, God forbid something happened to one of them, then what? So I definitely would like to, as I like to say, keep as many, bullets in the chamber as possible when it comes to these, position flexibility, being able to play returner and wide receiver for us. But yeah, Terry Godwin's on the Jacksonville practice squad. I put it out there as my own personal preference. We'll see where it goes. Rivera mentioned there are guys on the team that could fill the role, and if the answer's on the roster, I mean, hey, who am I to question it? But yeah, the part of me definitely wants us to reunite with Terry Godwin. So, what does happen, folks? Foreman Rush said it first.
Yeah, and by the way, on the topic of, while we on that topic of special teams, leave Joey Sly alone. Kickers miss field goals. Shouldn't be putting them in that situation to begin with. Get the ball in the end zone.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, but he done missed more kicks than Gano did already all of last year, though. And they said Gano had to go, so well, we should get rid of Sly too, right? I mean, based on that theory.
Man, these emotional fans, man. Stop, folks.
One kick, that uncontested one. I learned that myself. I knew that the rule existed, but I never seen it in action.
Yeah, I never seen it in action. That's exactly what I was going to bring up.
That was, props to Chase Blackburn for getting that opportunity. Put 3 points on the board before the half on that kick.
He just barely missed
it. But the extra points what got me the Jacksonville game, I think. At least kick the extra points, and try to keep that field goal percentage 85% plus.
Yeah,
you're not going to make every kick, but, starting to miss a little too much for my liking.
He gets in his head a little bit too much.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
He gets in his head a little bit too much.
This is first real opportunity, so
yeah.
You take the good with the bad. Let's just try to avoid it where it comes down to, like you said, putting them in that position. Let's kick extra points instead of field goals.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I definitely agree on that shit. Well, fellas, and we're not going to get into the San Francisco game. We'll get into that next week. For the most part, San Francisco's a pretty good team. That goes without saying. They
got another bum squad on their schedule this year too, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get
the 5 opponents they played so far only got a total of 9 wins, but we're gonna let them be great. We'll talk more about that on the next episode. But 9 wins on the 5 wins they got so far. But if that makes you legit, keep that same energy. We'll holler at you in 2 weeks.
For sure. We will be there early. Ron likes to fly out early, man. He likes to get them acclimated, we like to get there and, make sure the hotel room's all nice and comfy. We'll be there for a while to make sure we come in there and punch you in the mouth. That's how the Panthers roll, folks. All right, so for the most part, folks, I believe we've said what we had to say tonight. Anything else you guys want to touch on?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I know there's a lot of uncertainty with the franchise, the quarterback position, all these injuries. It's a bye week. Just sit back, enjoy this 4-game winning streak, and, be proud of what your team was able to accomplish in spite of the adversity that they faced this year. You waited 9 months for football season to start. Why look ahead to week 10? Let's soak up every week, enjoy it, and treat every week like it's the Super Bowl, Just keep pounding and have fun with it. It's not that serious.
Well said. At the end of the day, folks, it's the Carolina Panthers. Win or lose, it's the Carolina Panthers. Regardless of who's at the head of the helm, it's the Carolina Panthers. At the end of the day, when I put my jersey on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever day it is, it's going to have that Panther logo on it, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Because this, again, is the Carolina Panthers, and that's who we cover, and we're going to support whoever's on that team, period. And we hope you guys do too. All right, so thanks again for dropping by, folks, and listening to the 4-Man Rush podcast. I hope we've answered the questions that you have out there, and if not, contact us. Of course, you can go to Facebook, our Facebook page, or Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. communicate with us on our podcast platforms, on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and of course YouTube, obviously, again. And coming up on these next couple of weeks, especially coming up next week, of course, is the bye week. But we'll dig into the San Francisco matchup and any news any big news that's come up in relation to the Carolina Panthers. So yeah. Oh, and of course, drop by our website, man. There's some great stuff on there. Great articles, great write-ups, and check it out. Some good stuff. It's good stuff. Because you can only get this type of insight on the Carolina Panthers through the four-man rush. So make sure you are acclimated with all the gifts that we have to give you guys. Okay, cool. All right. Again, thanks for dropping by and listening to this podcast, whether it's the morning, afternoon, evening, or whenever you listen to this podcast. Make sure you will take care of yourself, and as always, keep pounding. Leave Kyle Allen alone. That boy can ball. That boy can ball.
Let him have his moment, man. Shit.
Let him play.
Boy, he had a long, tough road to get here. Man, I finally got my chance to start. I got fans over here acting crazy. Man,
like you said, Will, him and Cam in the film room eating veggie tacos and laughing their ass off, man. I mean,
our fans are crazy, aren't they?
Scrolling through his phone like, man, hey, Cam, look at this. Look at this
shit, bro. They think we're making this controversy. They think we hate each other.
Hey, Cam's like, who the hell's Monty Fetty? Cam's like, who the hell's Monty Fetty Jr.? Who the hell?
Well, all that defending Monty do for Cam, bro. Cam, you just owe him a cigar or something.
For real though, man.
I'm just taking time to really let it breathe. So baby, just chill. Yeah. She love it. We out in public and we can just chill with my partners, and we can go back to my crib and just chill out the covers and do we come in.
The Four-Man Rush is brought to you by the love and respect of and for the Carolina Panthers and Carolina Panther fans everywhere. Keep pounding. The Four-Man Rush is a non-affiliate of the Carolina Panther organization. All thoughts, assessments, and content of this podcast is directly related to the Four-Man Rush exclusively. Thank you.